What is happening, everybody? Big Jew here. Welcome to my very first vlog of 2013. Yes, very good. Nice little debut here for the year. Gonna get right into this because it's gonna be a pretty long video if I don't go through it really quickly. Okay. So about a year ago, I did a video entitled "So You're Over 25 and You've Never Had Sex Yet." It's a big hit. I was responding to a guy who was like 30 some odd years old and he'd never had sex. He was feeling really down about it. And lo and behold, I stumbled upon another video about another guy who was in his late 30s and he's never had sex either. And I said to myself, you know what, I think I'm going to refresh this little topic here, and so on and so forth. So, and this series of videos is going to be called I Hard Case, okay? The term hard case comes from Real Social Dynamics, a group of dating coaches masquerading as motivational speakers, or motivational speakers masquerading as dating coaches, or a combination of dating coaches and motivational speakers who travel around the world and teach guys how to live their best lives as well as pick up chicks. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm getting most of my information from. And this is going to be geared towards those who are heterosexual males. So if you're a heterosexual female or homosexual, you may want to understand that this is coming from a different source here. So this is a short list of stuff that I think will help hard cases. I'm going to look at each one individually starting probably next week or so. So this is going to be like a short version. If you've watched The Great Socialization, that kind of video, where I talk about how to socialize with people in general, this is going to be like a supplement to it almost. A lot of topics I'm going to be revisiting, but I'm going to be putting a heterosexual male's spin on it. So here we go, let's get started here. First thing on the list, very important, you gotta stop approval seeking, okay? What is approval seeking? It's saying or doing certain things that's eliciting a response. It's being attention seeking. It's telling people indirectly to feel sorry for you because you've been through whatever and so on and so forth. I used to do this all the time, okay? Or it's saying or doing stuff that, you know, is like really outlandish. I used to do that when I was a little child, when I was a teenager also. You gotta stop doing this because it's very, very, very toxic. It's toxic, and at best, it's weak. At best, if you're begging people to feel sorry for you, they're not going to feel sorry for you because they're not going to think that you're worthy of being felt sorry for. Unless, of course, they want to be approval seeking back and be like, oh, I feel for you, you know, whatever. If they're supporting the worst. I don't support the worst. I don't like approval seeking. Number 2. Be what I call a cool hipster, okay? Which means plug yourself out of groupthink. If you're socially conditioned to believe a certain thing, you know, like the guy in the video is saying, oh, you know, why hasn't this happened yet? You know what I mean? Like everyone else has this and I don't, and you know, this was supposed to happen to me, blah blah blah, you know what I mean? That's not healthy, because social conditioning really kind of puts you in a state where you're not thinking a lot. And this is why people make really dumb decisions when they're under the influence of alcohol and stuff like that. It's a completely different video that I'm going to save for a different day, obviously. But long and short, you got to be able to understand that it's okay to stray from the norm. It's okay to think outside the box. It's okay to say, it's okay to not support certain things when they're supported by popular people, or when the populace supports it. You know what I mean? But of course you can't go around hating it all. That's being a hipster. That's being attention seeking, right? So instead you gotta accept it and understand it and provide a different alternative. That's what being a cool hipster is. Number 3, gotta learn the fundamentals of socializing. I have this detailed vastly in my Great Socialization video series. If you haven't watched that and you're having trouble socializing, definitely watch it. I have a whole array of videos where I talk about that kind of stuff. Very useful. Number 4, acquire social capital. What I mean by social capital, I mean is be a part of a community of people who you can network with. You know what I mean? The term social capital is from a guy named Robert Putnam, who did a book called Bowling Alone. What Bowling Alone is about, it's about pretty much how, societies are pretty much organized the same way as bowling leagues are organized, where, everyone has, a common cause. And that creates networking and so on and so forth. And those who are not in the bowling league, they tend to be very, very, very negative people to be around because they're not part of that really good community. So you got to find a way to acquire social capital. You got to be a part of a group that has a common cause. This way you feel like you belong somewhere. Very nice. Number 5, you got to recognize your fertility limits. I'm going to talk about this in a different video. But you got to understand that if you're a man and if you are a very healthy individual, you'll literally have your whole life to be sexually active. That there's no real time limit on when you're supposed to find a sex partner if you want to develop a sex life and a love life or raise a family or something like that. If you're a man and you're healthy, you have plenty of time. If you're a woman, that's a different story. I'm not going to get into that because this isn't really advice for women. Sorry, girls. Number 6, determine why you want to be sexually active outside of the consensus of the populace, okay? What do I mean by that? There are some people who, they're extremely religious or they just don't want to get STDs and stuff like that, who have decided long ago on their own will, without any peer pressure, to have nice love lives where they're dating, but they don't have sex. Why? Because they feel like it's right for them. Not because their parents told them it's wrong or something like that. You know what I mean? And and the diametric opposite are those kind of like me, but not really, who decide, I'd rather have a whole bunch of one-night stands and not worry about the whole dating thing for a while until I want to raise a family. Actually, that's how I am. I'd rather have a nice first date, maybe 2 or 3 dates, have some great sex, and then either move on or just kind of minimize the relationship to where we're not completely emotionally attached. You know what I mean? But either way, I know why I want to be sexually active. Why do I want to be sexually active? Because for me, it's just practice for the main event. I mean, if I find a woman one day that I really want to settle down with, I don't want the sex to be boring. I want to know a lot of good sex techniques. This way, the sex isn't boring in a relationship, because in relationships, when the sex gets boring, that's usually when the drama begins. And there's lots of studies on that. Number 7, know who your true friends are. You need to know who is supporting the worst of you and who is trying to bring out the best in you, okay? A lot of these friends are maybe people you've known your whole life, okay? There's a lot of people who I've met back when I was a kid and when I was a teenager who, at that point in time, they were my best friends. Inseparable, okay? But as time went by, they started supporting the worst of themselves and not bringing out the best in themselves. They weren't calling themselves out. They weren't calling others out. They were just kind of complacent, okay? Those are not the friends you need to be making. The friends you need to be making are those who are going to call you out on your bullshit and say, why aren't you doing this? And why aren't you doing that? Instead of, it's okay to do this. It's okay to do that. When you have friends who support the worst and don't bring out the best, you're not going to improve. Plain and simple. Number 8, following up on that. Be your own worst critic. It's okay to call yourself out on some bullshit that you know you shouldn't be doing, on stupid shit. But you also have to be your own biggest fanboy. Meaning, if you aren't doing stupid shit, if you are following your nice fundamentals, and you're not calling in to work, and you're not, just wasting your time and stuff like that, and you're putting forth a good, honest effort, and you don't get what you want, you don't bury yourself. You say, look, I put in an honest effort. I deserve to respect myself for that. There's a big difference between those who beat themselves up and those who bury themselves. Do I still have problems with this? Absolutely. But I know generally when I'm beating myself up and when I'm burying myself. There's a big difference there. You shouldn't bury yourself. It's not good. Number 9, and this requires this requires a bit of a skill. But make a good friend of the opposite sex, okay? 11 years ago I met a really cool girl that I wanted as a girlfriend, and I wanted to check my time. Okay, I'm good. I'm doing good here. And it didn't work out, and she friend zoned me. But I said, you know what? She's really nice to talk to. I think that, we can have a different relationship. Maybe she can be, a therapist of some sort, with her being my therapist as well, or with me being her therapist as well, and we can have a nice little friendship, And there's a little bit of caveat here. You can't be crushing on this female friend. You can't be like, man, I like this girl, and she's the only one for me. No, can't be thinking that way if we're going to have a good female friend. It needs to be strictly platonic. Maybe friend with benefits. That's about it. But if you do have this female friend, then she can introduce you to one of her single friends. Oh, me and the boyfriend are going out. But there's this other girl who I want to spend time with, but she doesn't have a date. She doesn't want to be the third wheel. How about you come along? You know what I mean? And then it's nice, It's cool. And number 10, this one, probably going to catch some heat for this, and going to make a kind of a confession here. If you are, I want to say approaching 25, or over 25 and you never had sex yet, and you want to have sex and you think it's going to be really good for your future love life, and so on and so forth, and you've made that decision, it's okay to pay a sex worker to get some experience. This way you can make all your mistakes in one night. My first time having sex was at 16. I don't want to talk about that in specific. I'm going to do that later on, way later on in the year. But it took me 8 years for me. It was on an 8-year dry spell after that first time. I was pretty much so shocked out after my first time that I was like, whoa, I don't think I want to do this again. And it took me 8 years. And 8 years later, when I turned 24, I said to myself, I'm like, you know what, I haven't had sex in the longest time. I think I'm just going to go to a strip club and drop a whole bunch of money to go to the champagne room and just have sex with a stripper, okay? Now, if you're going to do this, use protection. If you do it raw with a stripper, then you're doing it wrong, son. If you're paying a sex worker and you fall in love with her, you're doing it wrong. Okay, there's certain fundamental things that you need to know before doing this. Okay, here's what I knew going into this little encounter. I said, okay, look, I'm just paying for pleasure. I'm paying for assisted masturbation, pretty much, and that is all. That's all I'm doing. Nothing else. And just maybe getting a little dry spell out of the way. This way I can make all my mistakes in one night. This way when I have sex for real again, it'll be nice. And that's pretty much what happened. I met another girl about 6 or so months after I had sex with the stripper. We had sex. It was nice. We had a great time. So on and so forth. And then of course it took 5 years for and so on and so forth. Gotta love life. But I'll talk about that later. Number 11. When you meet new women, separate your expectations from your aspirations, from your assumptions. See, and I'm going into some deep shit here, but hear me out. Whenever I meet a new woman that I want to date, I go through a list of these things. I assume she's single because I want to date for the week. And I'm not gonna be like, and it creates a positive reinforcement for me. You know what I mean? If I walk up to a girl and I'm assuming that she has a boyfriend, that you're setting yourself up to fail. Why not set yourself up to succeed? I expect her to be friendly and mature because I'm being friendly and mature to her. No brainer there. But here's where the disconnect is. I don't expect her, especially if I ask her out and she agrees, I'm not going to expect her to be my future lover, okay? No, not what you need to be doing. That's an aspiration. I think we confuse our expectations with our aspirations on the opposite sex in general, okay? It's okay to aspire. Especially if you're abundant with women, it's okay to aspire that you want something nice out of a first date or even a woman that you just meet. And it's okay to aspire great things. It's not cool to expect it. No, that's putting them on a pedestal. Women have no right to be put on pedestals, trust me. It's not cool. And that goes right into the 12th point. Be greedy, not needy. What do I mean by this? Let's say I go to work tonight and I meet a really cool girl. Okay? And I want to go out with her because she's really, she's really pretty and she's sweet and she has a nice little vibe going. So I say, hey, go bowling with me next week. And she says, oh, I gotta think about it. I'll be like, okay, you go think about it and I'll text you some other time. And she'll be like, oh, don't you need my number? I'm like, sure. Well, let's exchange numbers. I'll text you next week. Okay. Now, if I don't meet any other women that night, how am I going to feel about that one woman? I'm going to be emotionally invested. Okay? But what if I do that to several women over the course of an evening? How am I going to feel then? Will I be able to be emotionally invested in all, we'll say, 8 women that I've asked out? Absolutely not. I can't. Unless I want to go apeshit, berserk, crazy, insane. So that's my advice there. That'll teach you how to be abundant. And of course, all 8 women aren't going to say yes to me. That's another impossibility because everyone has plans and lives. But it shouldn't stop somebody. It shouldn't stop a guy from asking out several women in a week. Because it teaches you how to be abundant. It teaches you how to be less needy. And it'll reduce your approval seeking too. And number 13, I already went over this, but get a hobby that grants you the opportunity for social capital. Okay, this means if you're good at sports, join a sports league. If you work out at the gym, take a bike class or something, or whatever their classes are. I don't really like doing gym classes. I like lifting weights, and so on and so forth. If you go to school, join a club. If you can't do any of those 3, do some community service stuff. If you can't do any of those, and you're good with the people at your job, hang out with people from your job, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. anything you can do to get yourself in a community where you feel like you belong, where you can network, where you can extend the olive branch. I don't know, I'm running out of terms here. But anyways, I hope you liked this little introductory video. I hope you're able to sit through it all, and good luck to those who are inexperienced, because I know how you guys have, I know what it's like to be in that position, and you just gotta it just takes hard work. You've got to be committed to yourself and to the changes that you got to make in order to be that guy who's really attractive. And on a final note, okay, here's what's up. I went out with 7 different women in 2012, alright? Were these really beautiful women? According to me, yes, because I like a certain body type. But I guess in the general consensus, they would probably be average looking women. I don't know. I'm not going to go there because, God forbid, one of these 7 women that I went out with watches this, and then I'm going to catch a whole ton of heat. So, but either way, they were women, and women are cool. And how did I do it? Well, all I really did was just ask them out. And, you know, here's my situation. You don't need money. You don't need to be a really good-looking guy. I'm not a really good-looking guy by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, hell, look at my man boobies, for crying out loud. And my gut. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. But I still was able to go out with women. Why? Because knowledge of self, I have good social skills, and I know how to expand. Expand meaning, you know, network with people, and that kind of stuff. Alright? And I work at a friggin' gas station. I'm taking time off school. Work at a gas station. Okay? I'm the stereotype. I'm that loser stereotype. Oh, he just works at a gas station and sells drugs on the side. Or I don't sell drugs on the side, but you know what I mean. I'm the nut low of society. And I was able to go out on 7 dates with 7 different women in a calendar year. So if I can do it, so can anybody. And I'm going to live and die by that statement. And I'm going to end on that statement. Peace. Good luck.